Hey, what is up, guys? It is January 13th, 2026. Today was CPI day, and I want to go ahead and just get straight into what I traded, how I traded it, and essentially other good opportunities that I might have missed that I want to go ahead and make sure I have in the back of my mind so that when these opportunities do come around again, I can go ahead and take advantage of it. Because there are a couple, I mean, it's not really much, but there are a couple of trades that I liked on individual names that I feel like presented a very, very good opportunity. Now, I did manage to nail my favorite one, but there was one specifically that I kind of just, missed out on. I just kind of flubbed it. But anyways, so let's get into what I traded on the ES. So I did trade futures basically throughout like 3 a.m. all the way into like CPI. So I was scalping all of this short, like almost every move that was popping and failing, I was scalping it short. I will show the trades, by the way, but it's going to be hard for you guys to keep up because you're going to see a lot of, I think it's like orange and it's Tradeovate. So you're going to see like some orange and blue lines. I did long a couple of times, but a lot of these were scalps. And then a lot of up here, because I ended up trading like the CPI move. All of these that you're gonna see are gonna be scalps as well. And then I ended up actually getting into some shorts that I kind of scaled into, exited, scaled into, exited, scaled into, and you'll be able to see that as well. But my overall thoughts on what we seen today is we had that CPI news. We had that rip up, immediately came down. I longed a couple here, and I was just scalping all around here, like short and long. I was just scalping all within this area. As we were going green, I was scalping long. As we were coming red, I was scalping long and short. We get this pop up to previous day highs, reject, pop under it, can't manage to get above it, and then start to fail to follow through. Now, what I was interested in was two levels on the short, because I came in with a short bias, and if I seen these levels fail, I wanted to go ahead and be able to hammer in. Now, I did have a fantastic trade, day trading this. So, essentially, I was really, really zoned in on this level right here, and I was also zoned in on this blue line right here, because anything sub CPI low, I thought that we would get a nice washout, just due to the fact if we look at the right side here, just due to the fact that we have this straight up move from the prior day. And I thought that maybe we might be able to get more of a rollover. Of course, it didn't happen, but it didn't need to happen for me because I still had an awesome day. So, essentially, as soon as this kind of broke on CPI and the tape started to get heavy, it just kind of just washed out and gave an excellent short opportunity. Now, I was short basically all of this. Like, I was just shorting. I was hammering. I got short here, using this as a guide, VWAP as a guide, and you guys will see these trades. But the overall conviction here is relatively high, guys. You have sloping EMAs. This is just a next leg down move. And we go sub this huge volume candle, which had 18,000, right? And now we're sub that. So, like, if you get in sub this area, you can just utilize your stop somewhere up here, keep it relatively tight, and ride the momentum down. This is called the right side of the V if you guys follow Lance Brightstein. And this is exactly what I did. I just followed the right side of the V. I got on the right side of where momentum was going. I followed the 21 EMA, and then the 9 EMA on the 2-minute chart. On the 5-minute chart, it's the same. And you guys will see that we got about like 11 straight red candles. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 candles. I guess you might, people might count this and this because this forms the trend or whatever. But we had like a bunch of red candles. And, my goal was just to go ahead and take advantage of this opportunity because I am a better short seller than I am longing. So now that you guys kind of seen what I trade on ES, here is my chart actually behind that. So this was a long that I took. This was another long I took, another long I took, another long scalp, another long scalp. And then I start shorting here. Now, keep in mind, it's going to show one arrow, but you have to understand that I'm taking multiple contracts here, and this is on ES, guys. So, I have contracts here. I have contracts here. I scale out a bit. I resize on the same amount, rescale out, resize, scale out completely. So I get completely out of this position now. So I had a core from up here, and I added to this core as things were failing to follow through and I rode this trade essentially all the way down on a core position while scaling and getting out and scaling in, getting out, scaling in. I also took a short here. It was a little bit preemptive, but I was trying to see if this line would fail. If it didn't fail, I was willing to actually put risk on. And what does that mean? Well, I'm risking some of my gains, guys. I'm up big on the day. And because I'm already up big based off all these scalps, like look at these, this is pre-market as well. You know, because I'm up, you know, relatively well with a very nice wallet pad, and I got my really A+ setup going in, you know, I'm able to start risking some P&L here. So I take a short here. My stop is actually like somewhere up here. I know that this is like skewed RR, but when you're nailing it, you're nailing it. So, you know, I end up getting short here. I end up scaling in here. My stop, obviously, like I'm willing to scale up all the way up to here, because this is the same issue of the CPI candle, that bottoming CPI candle. So I'm willing to risk anything here. Unfortunately, we get the washout. I actually was up quite a bit here on it, but I ended up breaking about like, I think this was like $200 a profit or something like that I ended up making. This was kind of the starter, and this was the scale in. Then we get this nice pop up. I notice immediately we get this topping tail. I wait until the prior candle, we break the lows of the prior candle to get in. Now I'm utilizing this as a full stop. We get this amazing washout right here. And what sucks about this washout is that it washed out, right? And you notice I got out like somewhere like right here. Like this is where I kind of got out at. And we get this big washout that I might have been 20 seconds early, guys. Like my get out, I was probably like 20 seconds early. And had I just waited 20 seconds, I would have been able to catch this move. And then, you know, after this move came in, we got a nice little bid back up. And then we just turned into kind of to a range-bound market where things just kind of, you know, you got this pop at end of the day. We went green on the day, back red. This is also a really good setup. I love trading these type of setups. But that was it for my ES move. Microsoft. Let's go Microsoft. Microsoft is what I traded in options. I was a big fan of this move. If you guys do not know, I love short selling more than I like longing. I'm just better at it. Doesn't mean I can't long. I just prefer, you know, to short sell. Now, if you guys did watch my video yesterday, we talked about how the prior day we had a double top kind of high that kind of failed at the 200 SMA. So immediately as we are opening up, we're opening up rejecting previous day lows. I wait for this washout. I get in, sub this candle. My risk is going to be lower days. And I rode this out. While I was scaling, by the way, in ES, I rode these contracts all the way down here. This is where I got out. Right here is where I got out of this position. So I rode from basically right here all the way down. This was a monster move. Microsoft has been very weak. It's actually one of my favorite trades. And the reason why is because prior day was already showing weakness, right? We're red on the day already, so Microsoft's still holding relatively weak. You have this kind of like bear flaggy-esque move straight out the gate. You know, if you draw this like little, people like to draw these little trend lines like this, like they do like this type of shit. And you risk the prior lows. This is breaking down previous day lows, clearly showing relative weakness even with that CPI move. And you just get a beautiful wash. And even if you miss this whole move, when you break like right here, right? Let's say hypothetically you make that move and you want to get a high RR setup. And this is not financial advice or anything like that. Not buy or sell recommendations. You know, I lose every single day in the market. So you guys do whatever you want to do. My biases change on a dime, so on and so forth. So this is just for educational purposes. But when you get like a move that breaks the lows like this, and we're holding sub VWAP, the 9 EMA sloping down, the 21 EMA sloping down, you take this break. I didn't take this break because I was already in a position that I held through all this. But you take this break and you utilize pre-market lows as your guide here. So this is your stop. So you might put your stop, let's say hypothetically, you might put your stop like a couple of cents above. So you get in here and you still get a heavy RR multiple in your favor, even with this breakdown. But you have to understand, if you're going to trade this type of style, the name has to be relatively weak. It has to be sub VWAP, has to be red on the day, has to be sub previous day lows on the day, and then you have to have those sloping MMA. So these are 5 things in conjunction that are working together. And then, you know, if you go ahead and you even bring up a daily chart on Microsoft here, like, you can, I talked about it in my prior video, you can notice this bear flag that's stepping in here, this kind of, you know, diagonal line that's just breaking it down. And, you know, this name is weak, guys. Like, Microsoft is a weak name. I would not be shocked if we end up getting this price alert to ring, this price alert to ring, and this price alert to ring. Like, I would not be surprised, guys. You know, a lot of people are like, wow, you think that this come down like $100? Yeah, I do. Like, this is very well in the possibility due to this gap up. Now we're holding sloping, you know, EMAs or SMAs, you know, the daily 100 sloping down, 200 coming down, we're sub that, you know, 50 sloping down. Everything's just down on Microsoft. So this chart, you know, it looks like it's ready to get beat up. You know, like I said, this is not financial advice. This is not buy or sell recommendation. This is strictly for educational and informational purposes only. So you guys do whatever you want. You know, I'm not in charge of your guys' money. I lose every single day. And if tomorrow Microsoft was to build higher, my bias would be long. So that's just my thoughts behind Microsoft. There's definitely a change of character from when it was grinding this way to now it failing this way. You can kind of tell the difference in the tape. So I really like that setup. This is actually one of my favorite setups of the day. Actually, my favorite setup of the day, to be completely honest with you. That and obviously the ES. The setup that I really did like that I missed out on was MSTR. I thought MSTR presented a very good long opportunity. You know, this thing, as everything was kind of failing, you can see that this has been building on the daily a nice consolidation, and it finally is holding above prior day highs. So you can literally just, you know, anywhere where this thing starts formulating higher lows and soaking VWAP, you can just ride this out using previous day highs as a guide. And, you know, this is a slow grind up, but this is still an awesome opportunity. Like, this starts to hold above pre-market highs here and previous day highs. I would love this, you know, anywhere within this area. I love longs here, utilizing this as my stop, and then you just kind of ride it all the way to supply. You know, MSTR has been beat up because of Bitcoin, which, let's pull up Bitcoin. What is BTC? Pull up BTC. You know, Bitcoin has been getting, you know, absolutely slaughtered. Now, MSTR has been slaughtered much more than Bitcoin. So, and I think it's just the overwhelming pressure that company's under with Michael Saylor or whatever his name is, you know, and him kind of having that kind of, you know, hold the line approach on his MSTR positions in Bitcoin and stuff like that. So, you know, but Bitcoin was really nice. It got active. MSTR was a really good opportunity long. And then there was only one other opportunity that I did like that I did not trade when I look across the board, and it was Google. I really like Google. I like this trade right here, where you get this you get these you know, topping tails that now can't get above these highs. So I actually in this type of trade, I didn't trade this, but I love the way that these set up. Because it did break all-time highs and it was kind of showing a little bit of weakness stepping in. I really like to get in anywhere on the high side of this, guys. And the reason why is because I want to be as close to my stop as possible. So my stop theoretically would be like a couple of cents higher than the prior highs. So my stop theoretically would be somewhere like, maybe like right here. Like, so this is the highs. My stop's just going to be a tad bit above it. I would love to get short anyway here, maybe get some option contracts going here, and you literally could catch this full fade. I would always be a profit taker, obviously, into VWAP. And then we get this kind of little bear flag. I'd always hold on a position, right? I would take majority, maybe 60 to 80% off, you know, and then we get kind of this little bear flaggy situation coming on after this flush out. Go sub VWAP. The rest of my position, I'm taking out at pre-market highs, and then I'm taking at, you know, close to previous day highs. You know, it's how I would obviously trade that. Then you get another setup, which, you know, you can easily deem this as a double top high. Get a nice move here. Obviously, if you guys wanted to trade it the way that I would have drawn a line here, drawn a line right here. This is now the range, right? This is the range. You can get in anywhere up here utilizing this as the same risk, right? You can utilize that, or you can wait for this actual zone that's been consolidating, you know, bouncing up and down. Wait for the fail follow through momentum. Wait for the pop. Soon as it pops and rejects, you're using a little bit slightly above this as your stop. You get some fail follow through momentum. And I am actually a big advocate of not taking any profits into VWAP here. I would actually ride it out as much as the move gives me before it actually, you know, kind of bounces. And why do I do that? Because if this is now failing to follow through, there's a high likelihood that we're probably not going to end up breaking the highs, right? We're now entering 12 o'clock. You know, this is lunch hour. And if we're not getting above this area now, and we fail to follow through the range, I'm more willing to let this trade work more than a trade like this. You have to understand there's more volatility in the morning, while during lunch hour it's more relaxed. And if this thing is not going to go ahead and break out, I will hold, because the likelihood of me being stopped out of this position is going to be not as likely as it would have earlier in the morning. With that being said, we also obviously had SLV. You know, SLV's been a daily, you know, trader for a lot of people. A lot of people have been eyeing silver, you know, long, short, everything in between. No comments on that, guys. I have no comments on these. Like I said, you know, these things gap up and then they gap down and then they gap up and then they gap down. And, you know, if you wanna go ahead and mess around with metals and stuff like that because of the volatility behind it, sure, be my guest. But I'm just not interested in stepping in front of any of these moves. You know, I did like this. This is actually a really cool reject. But, you know, what are you gonna do, man? I'm not a huge advocate. I'm not a huge proponent in putting risk into a market that's as volatile as these markets. You know, it's really bad, especially if you're trading futures. You know, you could be down thousands of dollars almost instantaneously, and I'm just not a fan of putting myself in a position like that trading these metals. Now, if the metals start to really lose its bid and starts to really fail to follow through, where we don't get just a red day, we get continuous red days and breaks of prior day lows, you know, then I'm interested. But until that happens, guys, I'm not longing this. It's just up a lot, and I'm also not shorting it because it holds a steady bid. So that being said, I think you just gotta be a little bit, you know, hands offy, unless you enjoy the volatility, right? Because there's a lot of money to be made on this washout and stuff like that. You just have to make sure that you get on the right side of these trades, man. Because if you don't, you know, there's horror stories behind these metal names. So that's basically essentially it. I mean, you know, Apple was range, Intel was kind of range, everything across the board was kind of range bound. And those were the setups I really liked that and I really, you know, took advantage of. So that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown of the trades that I liked, didn't like, and also a trade that I would definitely keep in the back of my mind that if it pops up again, I want to be able to be active on, which was that MSTR long trade. And that's it, you know, because guys, we can't catch everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't catch every single trade in the market. It's not possible, especially day trading. So unfortunately, I missed it, but you know, it will come back around, and I'll nail it next time. The key is to make sure you study and review that so that you're able to take advantage of it for the next time. But that's all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm out of here.